A brand new court filing repeats one name 77 times: Sean Diddy Combs. Buried in those pages is a decades-old accusation that Bad Boy's kingpin quietly put up a $1 million bounty to have Tupac Shakur dealt with. Back in '96, an allegation Diddy still calls pure fiction. If that claim is even half true, it could blow open hip-hop's coldest case and drag half the industry into a modern-day reckoning. Who really bankrolled the hit? Why are detectives suddenly knocking on studio doors from Miami to LA? And, almost 30 years later, could the next arrest finally rewrite rap history? Dwayne Keefe D. Davis has been locked in a Las Vegas cell since his high-profile arrest on September 29, 2023, accused of orchestrating the drive-by that ended Tupac's life nearly 3 decades ago. Inside last summer's 179-page prosecution brief, investigators resurfaced a jaw-dropping confession Davis first made in 2009. He claimed Bad Boy boss Sean Diddy Combs secretly offered $1 million for a double hit on both Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight. That same filing name-checks Combs 77 separate times, tracing phone calls, nightclub meetings, and late-night studio visits that prosecutors argue link the bounty talk to the fatal shots on the Vegas Strip. According to the document, Davis bragged that moments after Tupac was ambushed, Diddy called to ask, "Is that us?" And Davis, beaming with pride, answered yes. Combs maintains the story is beyond ridiculous. And, for now, he hasn't been charged with anything. Still, the paper trail alone is redefining a cold case. Detectives say it revives a theory that East Coast cash bankrolled West Coast gunfire, turning a rap rivalry into a contract killing. And because Davis is the only living passenger from the white Cadillac that night, prosecutors believe his claims could finally land someone higher up the ladder in handcuffs. But if a $1 million bounty rattled the courtroom, the public reaction was even louder. Memes, podcasts, and power players who fanned those whispers into full-blown headlines and dragged hip-hop's biggest names into the spotlight all over again. The legal bombshell hit the internet, and hip-hop's rumor mill went into overdrive. Within hours, 50 Cent fired off a trademark jab on social media, joking that he never trusts someone who can order a hit with a handshake. His follow-up interview on Big Boy's show, streamed to millions in December 2024, pushed the idea even harder. Maybe I said it because he got pat-clipped, Fifth shrugged, half serious, half smirking. True crime creators pounced next. Spotify's Who Killed Tupac spiked to the top of the charts, replaying Keefe D's confession in 3D audio while dissecting Diddy's alleged wire room whispers. Apple's Bad Rap devoted an entire episode to the $1 million contract, stitching together leaked affidavits and grainy club footage to map every handshake between Bad Boy and Southside Crips. Memes followed headlines, grainy screenshots of court docs stamped $1 million receipt, paired with Diddy's signature dancing gif. TikTok sleuths overlaying Keefe D's jail audio with maps of the Vegas Strip. By week's end, the story had leapt from hip-hop feeds to mainstream morning shows. Yet the man at the center stayed silent, instructing lawyers to call it dangerous fiction. But while the internet pointed fingers at Bad Boy, detectives were quietly re-examining the most suspicious move of the entire night: why Snoop Dogg abandoned an empty seat in that black BMW just hours before the shots rang out. Just hours before the Tyson fight in Vegas, Snoop Dogg was supposed to slide into the back seat of Suge Knight's black BMW, right beside Tupac. Instead, he ghosted. Days earlier, on an NYC radio stop, Snoop casually praised Biggie and Puffy on air. Tupac took it as betrayal, and the jet ride home turned icy. By the time they landed in LA, Snoop felt the chill so sharply he ditched death row security, tucked a steak knife and dinner fork under a blanket, and flew solo. Come fight night, he skipped the private jet to Vegas altogether. Detectives now treat that decision like a flashing red siren. Was it instinct? Or did someone in Snoop's deep Rolodex tip him off that blood was about to spill on the strip? Street chatter says a warning floated across pagers that afternoon: "Stay out the car," and Snoop listened. For investigators, the timing is almost too perfect. For conspiracy hounds, it's proof the Long Beach legend knew the hit was coming and stepped aside. Snoop insists it was nothing more than bad vibes and self-preservation. Whatever the truth, his empty seat became the most haunting vacancy in hip-hop history, because the next man to sit there took bullets meant for the passenger up front. The driver himself, Suge Knight, and the chilling hospital room memories that make some people swear Tupac never died at all. Suge Knight still swears the ending didn't look like an ending at all. He tells the story the same way every time. After the bullets flew, he and Tupac were joking in the ambulance. Pac even teased him for finally catching a piece of the action when Suge realized his own head was grazed. Hours later, doctors claim the rapper lapsed into a coma, but Suge insists he walked out of that room believing his friend would be fine. That certainty never faded. In interview after interview, Bet in 2002, a prison phone call in 2011, a podcast cameo in 2024, Suge drops the same eerie line: "People heal. You never know." The phrase became a mantra and a warning. 2 weeks after one of those interviews, Suge was sprayed with gunfire at a Hollywood nightclub. He told police nothing. His son picked up the torch in 2018. Suge Knight Jr. flooded Instagram with what he claimed were fresh photos of Tupac chilling in Malaysia, selfies with 50 Cent, a backstage grin with Beyoncé, low-res shots of a bald-headed man stepping into a black SUV. Every post came tagged with frantic captions: "They'll be after me next. He never left us. Time's running out." The feed lit up for 3 days, then vanished. Were those images doctored? Almost certainly. But each time Suga or his son hinted that Pac might be breathing somewhere offshore, the legend gained new fuel, and investigators gained a brand new headache. And that's how we arrive at the wildest thread of all: the grainy parking lot footage in Cuba, the hot mic confession from an old studio buddy, and a growing chorus online that says, flat out, Tupac never died, the theory ignited by accident. Back in 2010, veteran producer Trey wrapped a studio interview. The cameraman set his rig on the floor, but audio kept rolling. Off mic, Trey chuckled. "Last time I saw him, he was in Cuba." The clip leaked, forums exploded, and 3 weeks later, a shaky phone video surfaced. A bald man with familiar tattoos laughing in a Havana parking lot. No date stamp, no angle on the face. Yet believers swore it was Pac, alive and hiding in plain sight. From there, the myth snowballed. TikTok detectives ran facial match apps on the clip, claiming a 92% similarity. Reddit sleuths tracked the parking lot signs and GPS tagged the spot. Every detail was treated like gospel, though none of it has ever been verified by law enforcement. Suge Knight's old "he was laughing in the ambulance" story fed the fire. Suge Jr.'s Instagram barrage, blurry photos of Pac with Beyoncé and 50 Cent labeled "he never left us," poured gasoline on it. When the posts vanished, conspiracy channels declared it a cover-up. Mainstream outlets shrugged it off as Photoshop. Today, the Cuba rumor has evolved into a full-blown alternate timeline. Some claim Pac cut a secret deal with the feds. Others insist he staged his own exit to dodge an escalating East-West war. All agree on one chilling point: if Tupac planned the vanishing act, he left behind just enough breadcrumbs to keep his legend breathing. But for every grainy sighting, there's a hard evidence gap police can't ignore. Missing autopsy photos, contradictory ballistics, and statements that never quite align. Those holes in the official record have kept this mystery alive for 29 years, and they're exactly where investigators are digging next. 29 years later, the paperwork still doesn't sink. Las Vegas homicide logs list a .40 caliber Glock as the murder weapon, but surgeons pulled 9mm fragments from Tupac's chest. Patrol officers at the scene wrote that the white Cadillac squealed east on Flamingo. Traffic cam footage shows a similar car turning south on Koval instead. Even the seating chart flipped. First reports had Suge behind the wheel and Pac leaning out of the sunroof. Later filings moved Pac back into the bucket seat, window half down. Then there's the autopsy enigma. Clark County insists photos exist, yet none have ever leaked. Remarkable for a case that spawned bootleg crime scene videos and black market x-rays. The coroner who signed the death certificate retired 2 weeks later and has never given a full interview. His deputy claims the fingerprints didn't match any open warrants. A curious note for a man with multiple arrests on file. Paper trails vanish just as neatly. An FBI tip sheet dated October 1996 mentions a credible threat to the MGM fight, but 6 pages are blacked out under national security exemption. The Los Angeles office logged a second memo linking a bad boy payout to Southside Crips. That file was quietly reclassified in 2003 and still hasn't resurfaced under FOIA. Each gap opens a new rabbit hole. No ballistic match? The gun was switched. No autopsy leak? The body was never in the drawer. Redacted FBI memos? Government cover-up. And every unanswered question keeps the internet's loudest theory roaring. Until the evidence aligns, the legend of a living Tupac will never die. But cops aren't chasing specters. They're chasing suspects. And prosecutors say the next knock on the door could land hip-hop royalty in cuffs. Behind courthouse doors, investigators are stacking witness lists like dominoes. First up is Keefe D, the self-described middleman, who claims he took the $1 million offer. Prosecutors want him to testify under oath that the cash came straight from Bad Boy headquarters, naming Sean Combs as the financier. If that story survives cross-examination, detectives say they'll move for a material witness warrant on Diddy himself. But Combs isn't the only target. Subpoenas are already drafted for Suge Knight, still serving time in California, and for Snoop Dogg, whose last-minute exit from the BMW now looks less like coincidence and more like privileged warning. Even former LAPD detective Greg Kading, once sidelined for insisting on the East Coast bounty theory, is back on the state's payroll as a special consultant. The stakes couldn't be higher. A single corroborated line from Keefe D could turn rap's greatest whodunit into a full-blown conspiracy case with multiple defendants, federal racketeering enhancements, and life without parole sentences. If prosecutors connect the dots, money trail, phone records, eyewitnesses, hip-hop's most powerful names could trade private jets for prison buses. And that grim possibility has the entire industry bracing. Labels are lawyering up. Podcast hosts are combing vault interviews for self-incriminating sound bites, and veteran artists are suddenly too busy for comment. Everyone knows, when one domino falls, the whole trail can tumble fast, which leaves one last haunting question. If the truth finally lands in handcuffs this year, does the legend of Tupac Shakur rest in peace or rise even higher? Almost 30 years after headlights lit up a Las Vegas intersection, the case everyone called unsolvable sits on the edge of a verdict. $1 million bounty, a confession recycled from a jailhouse whisper, a rap mogul under sudden scrutiny, and an entire generation of artists wondering how many secrets the 1990s still hide. 2025 has turned cold facts hot again. Keefe D's testimony could lock the doors on an era. A single subpoena could yank open another. Either way, the next signature on a courtroom ledger might redraw hip-hop's origin story in permanent ink. Yet the mystery refuses to die quietly. Missing autopsy photos, redacted FBI files, and whispered sightings in distant countries keep pumping fresh oxygen into the myth of a living Tupac. Every gap in the paperwork feels like an invitation. Believe the legend or bury it, but you can't ignore it. If prosecutors deliver a clean chain of evidence, the saga may finally step out of the shadows. If they stagger, conspiracy will sprout new branches overnight. So we're left at a cliff's edge. Does 2025 close the book with a gavel strike that echoes through every studio monitor, or does it crack the cover on an even wilder sequel? Whatever unfolds next, one truth is certain. The ghost of Tupac Shakur still commands the room, and the world is leaning in to hear the final chorus.